Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is Logan Stump.
You should call me Glitchy Wi-Fi because that just glitched out on me big time.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I don't know what it was about your intro, but it did not like you. But I don't know. I've had some weird connectivity issues.
Well, I actually did call you Glitchy Wi-Fi. You didn't catch that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I didn't catch
It must
that.
have been your Wi-Fi that cut it out.
That honestly is probably it. And so
That was last week, though, too. You had some really bad glitches at times where I'm like, hopefully people understand what he's saying.
I listened back to our episodes just because I want to see if we sound good and stuff, and we did last week. I feel like even though it glitched out a little bit, I do feel like the night drive is always a killer tune. I think that's always a nice way to lead out of the episode. Kind of makes me want to go to sleep though.
Yeah, that's the issue with it.
Yeah, it's not much of a night drive. It's more of like a lullaby at this point.
You might hear my dogs in the background.
Oh, I hear them. Yeah, this is great. So I can take over the show. Let me take over the show. Let me do the hosting for a little bit. Jordan, this was week 2 MLS. Things got wild. I think it was probably some of the more interesting games as far as some of the big games we were considering. I think some of the bigger games had a little bit more of a draw than the last week's games. A lot of weird things happened this week too. I think the Austin thing is really strange. I know we'll get into that, but I think that overall it was kind of a strange week as far as some of the other games were concerned, like the other matches. There was a lot of teams that are struggling that I didn't feel like would struggle this mightily this early on. But I'm pretty sure that once we get into those games, it'll be a little bit more interesting. But I feel like Montreal's an interesting target just because of, we played them up. We said if we doubt them, that's always an issue. But I feel like that Montreal, interesting discussion could be had. I think Seattle is a very interesting discussion to be had at this point in the season. But I don't know. It'll be cool to kind of just see what's going on. I guess one other thing too. I don't know how many fans saw it, but I guess thoughts are out to everybody in Mexico that were involved in that horrible on-field brawl and into the stands. It does look like out of the initial reporting was rumors that there were deaths. The ones that I had seen, hey Kat, the ones that I had seen. Oh, there goes my green screen. I'm trying to be serious right now, Hazel. Thank you.
What a rebound! It stayed up.
Right. That's impressive. No, but horrible scenes. If you didn't see it, then don't go looking for it.
Don't go looking for it. It's brutal. Now the thing is, 17 deaths are reported, but the not officially reported, obviously, because they don't want that to get out. I don't think so. Who knows if we'll ever get the official numbers.
No, it had been just reported that a bunch of people are hospitalized. I mean, including women and children. But gosh, I mean, those were those are almost like wartime images. I mean, if you're interested in going to look, I mean, it naturally, I guess the human is always curious, and I think it's interesting because while we want to be curious, I think this one's probably best left alone for people that really. I mean, it's gruesome. I don't know how else to explain it except it's one of the worst things that I've ever witnessed, and I've seen quite a bit of things just on social media. But this was people just absolutely being beaten to death, and it was awful.
Yeah. So our hearts go out to anybody that was going to a game and not able to go home. That's a tough. You never think that's going to happen when you go. There's a great thread about it actually earlier today of an Atlas supporter who took a picture of him and his wife, a selfie, moments before everything happened,
Yeah.
And then how some rival fans actually gave him the jerseys off of their backs. That way they would be able to get back to their car without getting attacked. So kind of tells you everything you need to know about that.
What a black eye for the sport. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen when you have to play these legs in Mexico. I know a lot of the MLS teams were raising concerns about And it's not every Mexican fan, but I mean, they've had more.
No, it's the hardcore Barabaras,
Yeah.
who have for whatever reason taken it to extreme levels. And it's something that we have to reckon with the sport itself. For whatever reason, this sport always has these type of problems.
Yeah.
Whether it's fan violence or racial stuff that you don't see in other sports. It's tough. It's a really tough thing that kind of, like you said, a black eye on the sport. I forget where I was going from here. Oh, you mentioned Montreal and Seattle. I think for some of these clubs, again, it's just going to be that Champions League mess. Teams that are in the Champions League have not been performing as well. So we'll see kind of how that shakes out throughout the rest of the year. You'd still want some points if you're a team like Montreal and Seattle, but for me, probably just wait a bit and see how it goes with Champions League. I mean, if you're a Seattle or a Montreal fan, if you win the Champions League and don't make the playoffs this year, it's still a successful year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd be the first club to ever win the Champions League. So that'll kind of be an interesting thing. But, as we mentioned before, Seattle in 2016 kind of hovering low out of the playoff spots until they turned it on after Ladero came and everything. So there are bits and pieces that would be able to maybe propel you later on in the season. But so we're going to talk some good things. The Goonies, they're back. San Jose, late equalizer. Yeah, about 10 years later. The Goonies are back. Calvo, 90 plus 6 minutes to equalize against Columbus, who were up 3-1 at a point and up a man. So Calvo scoring in the 84th and the 96th minute to have that Goonies never say die moment for the Quakes. Cincy, their woes continue. 1-0 loss at home too, where they've continued to always have problems. Charlotte breaking the attendance record. We got a lot of storylines that we're going to be going over today. So let's kind of start with the first game of the weekend. It was a team that's in the Champions League who's actually started off the season pretty okay. 4 points, right? They got a win. New England Revolution get a win against FC Dallas. Carlos Heel scoring in the 45th plus 2 with a penalty kick. At home, their home opener, which frankly did not have a lot of people there, unfortunately. They lost the possession battle, they lost the shots battle, but they had more shots on goal, and obviously they had more goals, which puts the Revs at 4 points for the year, and Dallas sit currently with 1. Any thoughts on this match?
No, it was relatively uneventful. I mean, I felt like New England did what New England had to do. I will say it was really a shame to kind of see the sparse crowd that did exist with their first game in the home stadium after raising a supporter shield. I felt like it was a game that people could have showed up for. And I know it was cold, but I think a lot of the New England fans were kind of like, this kind of sucks. Just not, really showing support. But again, I think other than that, I mean, New England did what New England's going to do. Carlos Heel gets that penalty kick to go right before the half. And really Dallas could not get anything in the attack. It makes you kind of wonder, Jordan, just how much this attack can rely on. And we talked about this before. We talked about how Jesus Ferreira is a good MLS player, but I'm not sure he's number 9. What position does he play that, is going to propel this team forward? I don't know if there is a position out there. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it looked like a home game that you should win, and it was a home game that they did win. And I just think that it speaks volumes to just exactly how good Bruce can be at this point. I mean, it's not a game that it's going to flash when you're looking back at it over the regular season. But 3 points at home, it's what they need. Or 3 points at home, it's what they needed, and you kind of move on from here.
And to win with the new logo, that was becoming a thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even though it was only one game before that, people were like, "Oh, we still haven't won with the new logo." We also have Bruce Arena becoming the all-time MLS coaching wins record. He passes Ziggy Schmid with 241. And quite a lot of room between him and third place, Bob Bradley, 182. Peter Vermees with 172. I mean, if you're looking at who could probably pass him, probably Peter Vermees right now, because he's not super far off. I mean, he's like 70 wins off, but it's like another couple seasons and Vermees is still young. So, I mean, Bruce is going to continue to win until how long he stays.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say Vermees probably has the best shot. Bob, his whole thing was that he wasn't here the whole time. So that might be tougher for him to catch, just age-wise. And then you have Oscar Pereira with 127 in 7th place.
I was going to say Oscar is down there, but he's old. I mean, I don't think he does it for much longer. He's got to be like 60-something, right?
No.
You don't think so? I don't know.
He's 53 years old.
Told you he's 53.
You said 60. I remember him playing, so I was like, there's no way he could be 60 years old. I mean, I don't remember him playing. I mean, it's like 2005. But, I mean, I knew he was a player recently.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan is 45 for those that are listening.
Yeah. I'm 63, actually. So let's get to and also Carlos Heel announced that he is having a child. So
and Matt Turner's having a boy.
And Matt Turner's having a boy. Yeah, lots of announcements during that game. Let's get to a game that probably wish it had less announcements, and that was at BMO Field. Toronto, the PA announcer had to announce 4 goals against them. 4-1 New York Red Bulls. Lewis Morgan hat trick. Great trade for New York right now. Aaron Long, 42nd minute, and 35th minute Jimenez for Toronto. Possession-wise, Toronto 67% possession. Shots, 6 to New York's 13. New York had 9 shots on goal. So that's kind of what you're looking at right there. Not the best for Bob Bradley's men. I'm not going to overreact about this, though. I do think, Bob is just going to need some more time to get everything tip-top shape. But Red Bull's been the surprising team to start off the season here, as they currently sit top of the Eastern Conference, if we wanted to get carried away here. And both of those away wins. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Scoring 7 goals and only giving up 2 so far are the Red Bulls. So, any thoughts between this matchup?
Press worked really well. I mean, that's kind of how they just sock him in the mouth. It seemed like, again, those possession stats are insane. I mean, that's almost 70% of the possession was to Toronto, at Toronto. And if you said if you had to guess at what a score line would be in that kind of situation, I feel like 4-1 is like, you don't have enough time with the ball to score 4 goals. So just the fact that they did. But again, Lewis Morgan on the counter in transition. Again, it speaks to just a lot of different things. It speaks to how good Lewis Morgan is. It speaks to just how much we might underestimate the Red Bull, and the Red Bulls seem to always kind of put it together a good competitive playoff team. Whether they're great or not is kind of to be determined, obviously. But I mean, it does speak to their process and their system, but it also speaks, I think, volumes to Miami. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but it's really questionable that's the one player they really decided that they were just going to part ways with, and really had an upside, I think, in that system with Miami. Again, with some of the issues that they have as far as the DP stuff and that's concerned, I mean, I can see moving on. But again, the fact that this guy's so talented, I think that, Miami not being able to keep him there speaks volumes. But that's a good win on the road. I mean, that's a really tough win. Plus, like you said, this is really hard to judge anything against Bob just because his whole team's not there yet. I mean, it's like judging different pieces and stuff like that. So I think that's ultimately what's going to happen is that this team is just going to be a work in progress up until the summer at least.
All right, let's move on to Kansas City 1, Houston Dynamo 0. This is a big rivalry match. Walter scoring in the 60th minute to give Kansas City the win. Possession 58-41 for Kansas City. 15 shots from Kansas City to 5 for Houston. 5 shots on goal to 3 for Houston. Overall, not looking so great for Houston to start off the season here. They end up with, so far, 1 point. A draw last week and a loss here. Haven't really been that impressive. Your thoughts on Houston or SKC, whichever one you want to talk about.
I'll do Houston first. I think they're going to struggle to score as well. I think that's just going to be something that, they bring over Sebastian Ferreira. They're adding Hector Herrera, who's part of that national team in Mexico, who's had success. I think he's with Atletico Madrid right now, who's had success internationally. But I don't know. Like at least they're defending well. I mean, I guess that's a benefit, but it seems like whenever this team gets one part working right, it's like the other part. It's kind of like a car. When you get one thing working right and it's going well, like a well-oiled machine, all of a sudden it breaks down.
I know all about that this week.
It just seems like, one thing after the other. They're a couple $1,000 fixes, $1 million fixes. And it just doesn't seem like it's really taken place yet. It'll be interesting to kind of see how they grow into the attack. But again, I'd be really concerned about the attack because, I mean, I watched a lot of this game and it was a whole lot of SKC controlling the ball in the midfield. And there was nothing really that Houston could do to get themselves out of the midfield and in creating forward. Chances on goal were just not there. I don't really know who they look to. I mean, I don't know who is their guy that they look to score besides Sebastian Ferreira. And he's just getting accustomed to this league, and we know how that usually works.
So you're saying this is another 3:30 Twitter curse?
Yeah. These games, man, they need to stop with these 3:30 crapshoot games. Like 3:30 and 6 o'clock. Something about those two times. Just don't ever pan out very well. I tell you what, though, MLS After Dark, it is rearing its head constantly.
I mean, there's just something about it. It's like clock strikes 10 o'clock, and they're like, let's get wild.
I don't know what it is.
Very Michael Keaton Batman here.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
That's MLS After Dark. Want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
We should make a shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
And put peanuts on it.
That's probably copyrighted or something. Let's get to Montreal, Philadelphia. 2-1 Philadelphia here. Lapalainen with a pretty cool goal. Pretty sick goal for Montreal, 32 minutes in. I guess a little bit of a deflection, but
yeah,
it was
good
up
finish.
And over Andre Blake. It was pretty nice. Bedoya equalizes in the 53rd. Gazdag takes the lead in the 56th. And Carranza getting his red card in the 71st minute here. Union only had 34.5% possession. Montreal had 65.5% possession. Montreal had 12 shots to Philly's 8. But the Union get a much-needed away win to set them up to be pretty okay here early in the season as they sit 6th place with 4 points. Right now, really what's killing them is just the goal differential.
Mm-hmm.
What's lucky for them, right, is that there was a goal Montreal scored that was called back for a foul, I think it was, or maybe offsides. I forget now. That ended up, it was a Mihalovic goal that got called back for a foul. And right after that, pretty much, is when the Union scored their 2 goals. You're looking at 2-0, and you're like, okay, not getting any away points here, but they pulled it out. And anything to say about this one, or pretty much cover that there?
I mean, these are games that I think top of the East teams are going to have to win. I think going on the road to a Canada environment that is usually pretty hostile towards any of the MLS teams coming in there. It's a pretty tough place to play. But it seems like the Union this is those games that the Union just win because I feel like their defense. While Montreal scored a goal, I feel like their defense just held pretty strong. I mean, that was a good goal that Lapinlainen scored. I mean, without that, they really didn't create a ton. They had shots, but not anything really that close. It just seems like the Union just. But I don't know if it's Glesnes and Elliott being in that center, the center back positions that just kind of eat up space and don't really let you get close to the goal, or if it's Andre Blake having that kind of effect on you where you try to put it into places he can't touch it because if he can touch it, he's going to save it. But I don't know. Every time I watch a Union game, I always feel like that's the case. Like their expected goals, they seem to really keep teams limited to the expected goal number, just because I think they're so good defensively. I don't know. They're a lot of fun to watch. I always enjoy watching the Union just because I think they're well coached and they play really well. I like their defense, and I know you do too because you like defense. And the Union have like a fortress.
Yep. We already talked about it a bit. San Jose 3, Columbus 3. So Espinoza scoring 9 minutes for the Quakes. Then they get a red card. Montero, former Union player, gets a red card. Then you have so it's 1-0 San Jose. Then Zelarayan in the 40th minute to make it 1-1. 68th minute, Zardes to make it 2-1. Zelarayan makes it 3-1 in the 73rd minute. And like I said, Cal 94th and 96 minutes to give the Quakes an equalizer at home, which is huge for them. They had less possession. They had way less shots, 19-7 shots. And really not a game that I think Columbus should have probably given up this lead if they want to be contenders.
Yeah, and I think it's even more it's concerning for San Jose. I mean, just they needed a miracle, and they got it from Calvo, who had been kind of just a ghost in Chicago, whether it be defensive or offensively. He's not known for scoring or scoring paralysis. I don't know. Like it's really interesting just to kind of watch San Jose, just because I think Jordan, you and I are in the same boat. I don't think Matias Almeida lasts that long, but I mean, I guess we'll see. Just how many matches he lasts. I'm predicting. I think I've said it a couple of times. I'm predicting by the time it's summer, Matias Almeida will be long gone.
I could see that because he might actually have other offers in the
World
offseason.
Cup stuff too.
Yeah,
because it seems like he's always linked to those international teams. That would be the time where if you were going to make some changes, maybe you do. I don't know. He seems
categories.
Yeah, you see, right, Hazel? Like he seems destined to be an international coach. I guess.
I don't know. He can't buy players. Then who's he going to complain about?
He can't bring Showpiece with him.
Yeah, who's he going to complain about then?
Right.
Okay. Chicago 0, Orlando 0. This had some controversy in it, right? Penalty or a goal that was called back. What happened there, Logan?
Yeah, so the ball goes flying up in the air, and our new striker, Erkan Kara, they say Ercan. I think it's Erkan, but I'm just going to call him Erkan. Erkan Kara gets the ball, and it's right in the top of the box, and it's in the box, and he goes to like control it, and he puts his arms out by his side almost, and he almost like chests it down, but it looked kind of like his hand had gotten involved with it, and it is close, but I think it's just not clear and obvious where you're going, oh yeah, he definitely used his arms to control the ball to fall down. I mean, it was a lot of people from what I've read non-Orlando said that it was not a good call. Like it wasn't a great call on the video assistant, and it was just, I don't know, it was really just kind of awful. But again, VAR does this to a lot of teams, and it's not just Orlando, but I do feel like if you're looking at if it was right or not, I do think a lot of the people out there were saying that it was not the right call. But again, you could kind of see where he might have thought it hit his arm to kind of control that pass, or the ball coming down.
How late was that?
Oh gosh, that was, I think it was in the 80-something minute or
Yeah,
right at the
pretty late,
80th
right?
minute. Yeah, it was a game winner. Like it was the game winner because it was later on. I think it was 80-something, 83rd, 4th, I think. But it gets called back, and then I mean Orlando. Don't get me wrong, Orlando played pretty well on the road, and Orlando's played really. I didn't realize how well they played with Oscar on the road. They were the second best team on the road, collecting points last season, and they've always played really well on the road with Oscar Pereira. The biggest thing that I saw, Facundo Torres is like built for this league. I mean, he's got a little bit of like a hint of like Carlos Heel in him, just because of how good he is on the ball. He had a touch, Jordan. He brought it down out of the sky. I mean, it was like it dropped right at his foot, and he just like leveled it, like right at his feet. And we're just like, okay. And then took it into the attack. It was wild. But I don't know. I like what I see from Orlando. They just now need to find that scorer, and I think Kara could be that scorer.
All right. Cincinnati, DC. We already talked about it a little bit here. We had late. DC gets a red card in the 80th minute, and then in the 90+8 minute, Ola Kamara converts a penalty kick. So there you go. That's really all there is to say. Cincy not doing super great to start the season. Now this is like one of the closest possession wise. This is 50.7 to 49.3. Cincinnati had 16 shots to DC's 10 and 6 shots on goal to DC's 4. They just can't actually get it in the back of the net. If you look at the shot map on MLS.com, MLSsoccer.com, you see so many shots to these little amount of shots here, for DC. It's insane. No, but the XG was favoring DC for whatever reason. 2 to 1.6. Yeah. There you go. That is Cincinnati and DC. And look, Cincinnati has got to figure this out. We've been banging on this drum for so long. If they somehow get the wooden spoon again, I don't think 22,000 are going to show up next year. I mean, you can't keep doing this. I get it. I mean, look, they're actually putting money out there too. They're putting money out there. They've rebooted a few times because nothing seems to work. Just nothing seems to work. I don't know what the issue is. Like they're cursed or something. I don't really understand it.
I mean, yeah, besides competing with Seattle for the wooden spoon, I mean, it's wild. I just don't, like you said, you and I text each other back and forth, and we were talking about how bad we feel just Cincinnati fans in general. Yeah. And I can see it on Twitter, like the Weigels and the people they retweet and Cincy Soccer Talk and the guys there, like
they're frustrated.
Yeah. It's just like circling the drain every single day with this team. And you're right. I don't, how do you fix it? Like, where do you even go to fix it? Like, there's not like a specific answer. Like, I think a lot of the midfield struggles because I don't think there's a lot of creation, but I think that there's, a lot of issues with just like the organization in and of itself. Maybe it's part of the ownership. Maybe it's part of, I don't know. It just, like you said, it seems like this team there's always those teams that seem cursed, and this seems to be the team.
The Cubs.
Yeah, it just seems like anything that could go right goes wrong, and horribly wrong. Just absolutely awful.
Yeah, I like the way that you said that. Whatever could go right actually goes wrong.
Yeah.
Usually you hear what goes wrong can go wrong, right? The Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they have to
Logan's
keep trying. Yeah, Logan's Law. There you go. LL. Let's talk about a team that was a little jealous that whole weekend. Atlanta. Super envious of all of the talk about Charlotte FC breaking their attendance record. It seemed like Atlanta was really pressed about this, by the way. Atlanta Twitter was really upset. And they should be upset for other reasons. 3-0, Colorado Rapids. Rubio, Lewis, and Shinashiki scoring 3 times. So you got Rubio 33rd, Lewis 48th, and Shinashiki 87th. And Miles Robinson with a red card in the 86th minute. He didn't have a great game. Looking at the stats, if you want to look at the stats. Oh, this is awful. I'm sorry. The MLS website has the Atlanta red and the Colorado burgundy color, and they look so close. It's like, why did they not put like black for one of these teams or something? 63% possession for Atlanta to 12 shots for Atlanta to 9 for the Rapids. Rapids had 3 shots on goal. All 3 of those end up in the back of the net. So I guess they were very consistent. Really bad game for Atlanta. And where it leaves Atlanta right now is currently 7th place. So not bad. Still got 3 points, but they probably would have liked to get at least a point here on the road.
Yeah, the Rapids can breathe again. Like, it feels like the Rapids were starting out the 2022 season just on a really sour note between not being able to finish off a Champions League game in the snow, doing penalties, and had multiple chances to put that away. Couldn't put it away. End up, not doing so well in Champions League. Then kind of starting the season a little bit rough, and then this game. This is needed, I think, to get them kind of back on the right track. But Jonathan Lewis played really well. Like, I was watching some of that, and he played really well. I thought Shinyashiki did what he needed to do. They need goal scorers, so they need guys like Rubio. They need guys like Jonathan Lewis. They need Andre Shinyashiki to step up and score goals. And I think they're going to get it from the 3 of them. Just, I don't know if it's going to be enough and consistently enough. But looking at Atlanta, Jordan, at what point, Jordan, can we start to freak out Atlanta fans? At what point do we kind of look at Joseph Martinez and say, maybe Joseph isn't going to get back to, the godfather of the league?
I don't know. It's tough. Some of these injuries can take a while to heal. He might still not even be fully healed,
right?
Technically.
Yeah.
So
his XG's
he may never be the same again. We don't know,
yeah.
Right? That's going to be tough, but I wouldn't worry so much. What I would worry about is you have to get an actual legit backup for Joseph. Somebody that you can bring in that's going to get you goals off the bench, which I don't feel like they've ever had.
Yeah. Dom Dwyer's not it.
No.
He had a nice goal in the first game, but again, that was just kind of an SKC just falling apart into shambles. But
Dom has been so far out of practice at this point. He used to be the best striker in the league at one point, but he's just, he's gone so long without playing consistently. I'm not sure if he's, ever gonna be it.
I kind of liken that to Josie. Like, I feel like he and Josie are kind of in that same path, whether it be injury or just not being fit enough or in form enough to play. So I don't know.
All right, Minnesota, Nashville. This was a fun one that had some weather delay. Our friend Jack was there from the Final Third show. I had talked to him earlier that day, and he was worried about a delay, and it happened. So he kind of willed that into his existence, I guess. But CJ Sapong scores 5 minutes in for Nashville. Sonny Dodson scoring in the 71st minute. Nashville. Let's talk about Nashville. They are 4th place in the East in the West with 4 points after facing Seattle and Minnesota. Pretty darn impressive. People are going to say, but what about Austin? And you look at Austin's opponents and you say, okay, Nashville's been a little bit more impressive than what we've got. So yeah, just really impressive. They had 45% possession and Minnesota's 54%. Pretty even on shots, 14-12. Minnesota edged out there. Nashville had 2 shots on goal to Minnesota's 4. It's actually a pretty even game. That's going to end up being 1-1, and there you go. Seems pretty good. But Nashville, this is something that we were like, oh, they're going to have to really prove themselves in the West, and so far they have. Any thoughts here on Music City?
Yeah, don't forget 2 games on the road too, because they're just waiting. They're stalling. They're waiting for their time to open their stadium. So they're currently playing on the road a ton, and they will do so until that new stadium opens. So, man, kudos to them though. Like 2 games. Those are tough places to play. Allianz is not easy to play.
And we talked about Austin real quick, and Austin was 2 games at home. So this is 2
Yeah.
games away.
Yeah. But no, like you said, Nashville, again, holding their own. And we kind of knew that their defense would. I think it's a matter of just getting the attack going. And that determines whether they're going to be a top team in the West, because I think there were times, and you and I talked about this all the time, it seemed like, and they led the league last year in draws. For as high as they finished in the East, they are notorious for drawing. And I think it's mostly just because their defense just knows how to tighten the screws, while their offense just kind of suffers and flounders at times, just because there's just not enough going forward. I'd really, you know what, Jordan, I really wish they would add, like, they need one really good striker to just come in and like Sebastian Driussi kind of thing. They need that one guy to come in that's just a prolific goal scorer in front of Hani. And this team would become like a New York, or New England or New York, Seattle.
Amaria's not that?
No, wrong team. That's Minnesota.
I thought that's who you're talking about. You said in front of Hassani Dotson.
No, Hani Mukhtar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry if I said, did I say Hassani?
I thought so, but maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe my glitching. No, I meant like in front of Hani. If Nashville adds like a 10 to 15 goal, a year, that's all you really need in front of Mukhtar, because Mukhtar is going to score his. So, but they just don't have that. Like CJ Sapong is nice to have. I just don't think he's a quality starting number 9 in this league.
He's going to come to your house. Any thoughts on Minnesota, maybe, about scoring? They need somebody else other than Amaria.
This is like my main point. Yeah. Like, this is the same issue, except they don't have a defense to back them up very well. Like, their defense is okay. It's not Nashville level. Like, Nashville level is insane. The pieces that they've added in are really nice. But Minnesota doesn't have that luxury. Minnesota has to score because they'll give up their goals. And I'm not sure that Minnesota could really do. A lot of people are saying that they're really solid defensively, but I think there's times where their defense can only do so much. I'm not sure it's good enough like a Nashville, because Nashville, they're probably the most, I'd say, do we think they're the best defense in this league? I think they are. Like, I think they've proven that, and they've got the best defensive player on that side. So it's, again, I just don't see where Minnesota's rough. And again, like you said, and we went through they went through about 26 guys last year trying to find a 9 and never did. Meanwhile, their guy down in Austin scoring like crazy. So it's never good.
Minnesota sitting 9th right now with 2 points. I will say that's 2 more points than they had last year at this point. All right, let's go ahead and look at RSL Seattle. This one took a huge delay.
Yeah.
But Bobby Wood is going to score pretty much right after that delay in the 46th minute to give them the win. Seattle had more possession. RSL had 8 more shots than Seattle, 16-8. And RSL had 6 shots to 4 on goal. And look, Seattle might be pulling a Columbus right here. I don't know. But I think it is, they got Champions League. They might get a little bit more to get going here. But, yeah, they start bottom of the West right now for Seattle. So not a great look here, but RSL start off 5th place, 4 points. They're, 2 points off of first place if we want to start looking at that right now, which is probably worthless right now. But any thoughts here on these 2 teams?
Albert Rusnak ruined his trip back home to RSL, completely destroyed. But yeah, I lost this game so many times because I was like checking back for delays and stuff. I was like, this is brutal. But yeah, like you said, I think there's just not a lot to write about with this one yet. Like, I think RSL is still going to have a lot of struggles being able to score and keep up a pace with a lot of the teams in the West. I think that Seattle is going to be fine. I don't think, like we talked about before, I think just there's too many really good experienced players on Seattle to really kind of fall into like a Columbus thing. I think there's different pieces that they've had that these are a lot of proven MLS winners on the Seattle roster. Whereas the Crew was more of like, this team surprised a lot of people in the playoffs. And remember, when the Crew in the playoffs, the Crew weren't the dominant team that they that would claim to be the MLS champions. It was a team that kind of upset a bunch of people and got to the final and were able to win that final. It wasn't like they were coming in on their high horse and beating the hell out of everybody. But again, I think that, like you said, there's just too much experience here, and I really don't see a Brian Schmetzer team struggling for that long. I just think it would be unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so either. Vancouver, NYCFC, 0-0. There you go. That's all the highlights. That one. NYCFC, really 70.1% possession to 29.9. 19 shots to 10, 4 shots on goal to 1, and NYCFC just couldn't put it past the keeper here on the road. So
this was in Vancouver too, Jordan. Like this, this had to be brutal to go to watch. Like your team has 30% of the ball and puts 10 shots up, and one of them somehow finds the target. And it's like, okay, well,
probably easy catch.
Yeah, but yeah, this was probably the most boring game of them all because I caught quite a bit of it. It was just like it was just possession based football that the City Group play, and that was pretty much it.
All right, let's talk the late game on Saturday, which was only 7:30. But Charlotte versus LA Galaxy, 74,479 people attended this game. And actually, Fanatics said it's the game I think that they sold the most merchandise at.
Wow.
At a game that they operate the stores in. So, or something like that. There's some sort of stat out there that said that they sold pretty much a crap ton of merch, is all I need to know. Mm-hmm. Is what they sold for Charlotte fans, which is great. That is awesome. I never would have thought in my life Charlotte, North Carolina would be a hub of a soccer team like this. This is pretty big deal. Broke the record attendance wise. People, they were loud. They were loud. They were at the first 20 minutes. They were living off every single ball that was kicked. It was fun. They got kind of lost a bit later on because their team wasn't doing anything. That's going to happen. And I liked when they said Efrain Alvarez was shutting them up because they were actually really loud, booing, and being upset that he scored. I was like, he didn't shut anything up, man. They were still very upset. But yeah, Alvarez scores in the 77th minute. A great goal, by the way. Fantastic goal. Possession-wise, 50.6 for the Galaxy, 49.4 for Charlotte. 21 shots to 5 for Charlotte. And that is really the killer. When you have almost equal possession, you'd like to get some more shots in there. And this team just wasn't able to generate any real chances at all. And, if a goal would have happened, that place would have erupted. It would have been great to see. But I hope enough people had fun there, even in a loss, to say, I'm going to continue checking this out and build something. And hopefully they get something going there. Hopefully they're not fooked here.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was electric. Like it was. I mean, they had Steve Smith Sr. there. They had Jimmy Johnson there. Or is it Jimmy Johnson? What's the NASCAR guys? That
was right.
Okay, cool, good. I know my NASCAR.
Former Raven, Steve Smith.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant Jimmy. But yeah, the former Raven. No, but it was really cool to see that city, and they had the armbands, the national anthem. The mic went out and they were singing the national anthem. That was really
that was
cool.
A really nice moment.
Yeah. Especially with all that's going on in the world, it felt very good to kind of get around your country and kind of just belt one out because of the issues that they had at the stadium with the mic. That was cool. Their kits, I think, are some of the best kits just because I like the Carolina blue. I do hope they ditch the white sleeves eventually.
No.
Yeah, completely.
No,
they
look
look awful.
Good. It looks good.
Make them gray. So
the white sleeves looks great.
Yeah, but I mean, it was really cool. It felt like a World Cup moment. I mean, Stu Holden was standing on the sidelines with Alexi Lalas, and they were kind of like looking up in the stands, and they were talking to him, and they said that there were moments where they had to kind of step back because you could just feel the energy oozing out of the stadium. It makes you wonder, Jordan. I'm thinking that Charlotte, North Carolina might get a World Cup game in here because I think that with the electric atmosphere, with the ability that they have to kind of host teams and the restaurant scene, and it's a pretty well-to-do city. I don't know. I kind of like this argument there for their first match. If you could get that stadium to kind of just erupt like it did with that many people, I mean, I think this might be actually a stadium they consider to kind of throw into the World Cup mix.
Are they up for it?
I don't know. I thought they
no,
said
they're not.
They're not up for
they're
it.
Not.
No.
Nope.
Well, throw it in for 2064.
Well, they can't now.
2060 something.
Yeah, they're not getting a World Cup game.
Never
they
mind.
Get maybe
Scratch
a qualifying at some point, but
maybe that's what they were talking about. I heard somebody talk about World Cup, and then I was like, okay, well, scratch everything I said.
Yep, you guys aren't good enough for a World Cup right now. But yeah, no, it was a great moment. I'm always down to see teams come in and succeed, especially when we've doubted them in the past. Now, if only they could actually put together a good roster, and that's what. Hopefully, if they don't have a good year this year, that they don't have to reboot the way Miami and Cincy have been having to do.
Right. And then look out next year. Jordan and I will be going to St. Louis in March.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let's just say that now and then not follow through with it. Let's go ahead because I wanted to go to the Hudson River Derby, but somebody is not going to do that now. Austin, Miami, 5-1. Austin. That's 2 games in a row with 5 goals. Jerussi, 22nd minute and the 51st minute. Cascante in the 26th minute. Finley in the 64th and Finley in the 90th. And Capana scoring in the 53rd minute for Miami. Miami, look, to put it in Phil Neville's words, just gotta stop giving up goals, man. Which, yes, that's probably the main issue.
Coaching,
main issue right there is giving up too many goals. They also got to do something with their shots. 13 shots to 8, and they only get 1 of them in there. Shots on target 6 to 6. So there you go. They're just not putting them in a better spot in the target, I guess. I don't know. Miami's a dumpster fire. Austin also beat Cincinnati, so they started off with 2 easy East Coast teams. We'll see how it goes from here. Remember, they started off really hot last year, and we were all really surprised, and they fell apart. So we don't want to too quickly say that they've rebounded, but they have looked better with Jerussi since he's come into the team. But I don't know. Are they for real, Logan?
No. And the reason why I think that they are good, but I think if you take Sebastian Jerussi out of the mix, they really do struggle at times. Cecilia Dominguez plays well, Facundes plays well, but I'm not sure they're not quite to the top tiers teams. Like, yes, could they push for playoffs? Yeah. Like if Sebastian plays that well continuously, they make a good argument. But again, like you said, Jordan, it's really hard to say that a team that struggled mightily and were contending for a wooden spoon last year, the fact that they just all of a sudden can turn it around, and then they go and beat these 2 teams these 2 teams are in just such a disarray right now. They do have to play Portland away next, and then they will come back home to face Seattle. Then they play San Jose, and then they do Minnesota United, DC United, Vancouver. Like, those are not easy games either. So, it'll be interesting to see how after this stretch they do. But again, I think that you're looking at a team that the jury's still out on. And no, I'm not convinced yet that this team that struggled so disastrously last year, that this could all of a sudden be fixed. I did see a bunch of things, Jordan, that were pretty funny. It was like Wolf in and stuff was trending for a little bit. And then oh my gosh, Josh Wolf has become this like amazing manager overnight kind of sentiment. But let's hold off on those because I don't know if that's really the case.
Yeah, we'll see. LAFC Portland. That was a late one last night. I fell asleep at halftime. I was really trying to stay up. But Yimi Chara with another bicycle kick, if you want to call it a bicycle. Some people are saying obviously it wasn't a bicycle because one of his legs was still on the ground. Whatever. Nice overhead kick by Char. Let's not get technical here. It was another fantastic goal from him, and I think that's all that matters. And then Bravo in the 62nd, and then Fall scoring in the 90-plus third. Really easy tap in as he waited for the ball to arrive, like right outside the line. Like he's standing like 2 yards from the goal. And share points there at Bank of California Stadium, which puts LAFC in 3rd place. Pretty good. Puts Portland in 8th. And as we sit right now, Western Conference looks like Austin, LA Galaxy, LAFC, 3 teams that missed the playoffs last year. Which one do you buy more into out of those 3 teams of having a chance to make the playoffs?
Austin, LA, and LA?
Yeah.
LAFC. And I think actually, I think I'm going to go to. I'm going to get to a point. Actually, you know what? It's interesting. Carlos Vela did get hurt, but it does sound like it wasn't a big deal. Kellen Acosta actually got hurt as well. And then who else did they say? Did they say? I forget who else it was. I'm not going to guess. But there were 3 injuries. None of them sounded serious. Carlos Vela was the only one that kind of concerning because it was more of like we don't know what was wrong with him. It was more of like precautionary, which that never is good, I think, with him. And again, until they sign a contract short, I'm just not convinced he's going to be there. However, that being said, I do think if you're looking at these rosters and the way that LA played against Charlotte, I mean, LA was decent, but they weren't great. I know it's tough to go on the road in that kind of atmosphere to win a game like that,
and they did it.
Yeah,
I'm going Galaxy, baby.
No, you shouldn't.
I am. I'm all in on them right now.
You did this last year.
Yeah, you know what? And I was almost right. So I'm gonna keep pushing them. I'm gonna get them across that line.
Okay, 2 wins. I mean, 2 wins. That's big. If they can
they have
short
the least amount of question marks out of Austin and LAFC. LAFC, I have question marks, like you said, about Vela sticking around.
Are you convinced with the Galaxy's defense, though? Like, I know they played NYCFC and held them to nothing, but that was coming off of Champions League kind of stuff. And then they just squeaked past Charlotte, and Charlotte's not going to score.
The defense was fine. They didn't give up anything. I mean, they didn't even give them a shot, like a legitimate shot that you're like, oh my goodness, we're lucky to still be in this. Like they're pretty good. All day. LA Galaxy.
Guess we'll see.
We will. Watch none of these 3 make it.
Yeah, these 3 just 7, 8, 9, or 8, 9, 10.
We'll be able to figure out who was right by just who was closest to the playoffs out of these. All right, let's go ahead and quickly take a look at what is coming this week. So let's get to our match of the week preview.
It's time for the match of the week preview.
All right, it's our match of the week preview. That soundbite always makes me feel like we're really legit. It's a match of the week preview. We're going to take a look at the games for the weekend. Just a little heads up. NYCFC has the first leg of their Champions League game tomorrow, March 8th. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday, it's tonight on FS1 at 8 o'clock. Seattle versus Lyon at 10 o'clock. Both of those games on FS1, unless if they decide to put it just on the app because some college basketball game is going to be.
I think there's like fried chicken bucket contest or something like that.
Yeah. What is it? Joey Chestnut's going for the hot dog record.
I think so.
Switch over to that. You'll have to watch it on the app. It's so stupid. Okay, Wednesday, March 9th, Revs versus Pumas at 8 o'clock at Gillette Stadium, and Cruz Azul versus Montreal at the Azteca at 10 o'clock. So, hey, we just need these teams to win, and we would have a shot at an all MLS semifinal. Let's just will that into existence. So that way we can, have our first MLS winner and not have to worry about waiting till the final to get that. All right, so then we have Saturday, March 12th, NYCFC versus Montreal at 1 o'clock at Yankee Stadium. Hey, at least some sports going to be played at Yankee Stadium in March.
Right.
Then we got the Crew versus Toronto at 1:30 at Lower.com Field. Miami versus LAFC. First one. Oh, geez, Miami. I feel so sorry for you. At 1:30 at Driv Pink Stadium. Then we got that's one. You know what though? That's the Twitter game, so I'm not sure that's going to be a good one to watch. Then we have 3:30 on Fox, Seattle and LA Galaxy. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. I think that I'm not going to spoil my takes yet. Hold on. Houston versus Vancouver at 6:30. DC versus Chicago at 7:30. The Revs versus RSL at 7:30. Orlando versus Cincy at 7:30 at home for Orlando. Philly versus San Jose at 7:30. Dallas versus Nashville at 8:30. And Rapids versus SKC at 9. Portland versus Austin at 10. Real big test for Austin. Sunday, Atlanta versus Charlotte at 4:30 on FS1. And the New York Red Bulls versus Minnesota at 7 o'clock. All right, so pick a game from Saturday, Logan. Which one sticks out to you the most?
I'm going to go with the Portland game and Austin game. I'm ready to see if Austin's worth its. I don't know. I lost
weight in gold.
Thought. There we go. Thank you. Are they gold or are they Verde? But
they're weight in Verde.
They're weight in Verde. So yeah, no, I'm interested to see if the two greens can go up against each other, the Green Giants, and figure out which team is really deserving of a powerful position here in the West. Because I think Portland's sitting on the outside of the playoffs right now, 2 matches in, not played the best. I think there's a lot of room for improvement for Gio Savarise's team. I think they're going to go into Providence Park with a different kind of mindset against Austin. Austin playing pretty well. Can Austin score 5 again? I highly doubt it, but it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Can Jimmy score a bicycle kick? Can Diego score a bicycle kick? Can any of the Charos score a bicycle kick? That'll be fun to watch. I think Sebastian Driussi, potential Golden Boot winner, Jordan. I don't know. I guess stay tuned to find out. But I'm looking forward to this one. Austin and Providence Park. I love a good match at Providence Park. You can't go wrong.
Me too.
Yeah.
I wish I could go. Okay, so we have. I'm going Seattle, LA. Look, I just said LA Galaxy, baby, and then also Seattle needs to rebound from their 0 points so far, and this will be a game in Seattle against a team in the top 2 right now for the Galaxy. This is a big one for Seattle, and it's a big rivalry match, I'm looking forward to that. I think some interesting mix matches here, Orlando Cincy. Can Orlando take advantage of facing another pretty easy team here? I mean, they had Chicago to start off with. I mean, they had who was first? Montreal, which they won, right? And then they draw with Chicago on the road. They're back home. It's a really easy start to the season here for Orlando if they can get it. The Union, San Jose cross country coming over here. San Jose not really that great, but they did just get a point against the Crew when they probably shouldn't have. Can Philly get the points that they're supposed to? They kind of left it a little late against Montreal. So there's some interesting matchups there. Sunday, Atlanta, Charlotte. That's the big one, right? That's the big one. That's the one that our friend Chris Smith, who's been on the show a few times, he went to Charlotte's home opener. He's going to Atlanta. He's an Atlanta fan. It's going to be a pretty big deal for him to see his team in person, which is always just an amazing sight. So hopefully he has a really good time there, and hopefully it's what is going to be the first rivalry match between these two teams. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that one. Red Bulls, Minnesota. Can Red Bulls keep it up? They have a home game here. Minnesota's kind of been underwhelming for me. What can they do?
I'm excited for the South. That's the big rivalry. Like, as much as Orlando wants to claim Atlanta as the rivals, and while we still don't really like each other and they're rivals, I would say that knowing the Carolinas and Georgia that rivalry is going to be massive. They've already got the Panthers Falcons. They've got the Hawks Hornets. Like that is a big rivalry. And I think it's just going to get even bigger. I think it's set to be the best rivalry between the two states as far as sports are concerned, just because I think, and you kind of encompass two states when you talk about Charlotte like it's Carolina, both Carolinas. So it'll be fun. Like right down the street from each other, they won't like each other. They really don't like the fact that Charlotte is now coming. Like you said, Jordan, I don't think they figured that Charlotte would ever become a corridor to the soccer world, but they have quickly become at least competitive rivals as far as attendance is concerned. And I'm just like picturing this now, Jordan, like a couple of years and down the road, and we're sitting there watching a Charlotte and Atlanta game, playoff game, and Eastern Conference Finals, and
we're there in person, right?
Yeah, we're covering it in my dreams. But Atlanta's visiting Charlotte. That'd be a magical moment. So I'm looking forward to this. They really seem to really not like each other. And speaking of going to games, Jordan, I know you haven't talked about it much, but where are you headed? I know you said that you had news on the side of where you're headed down. And
we're still looking to buy the tickets right now. But we're supposed to be heading out in around my birthday, June 26th. So the game is on June 25th. RSL at Rio Tinto versus the Crew. So I'm hoping that's a good game. But yeah, I'll be probably doing some stuff about that while I'm there. For people that don't know, we have a baseball podcast too, which obviously hasn't been worth anything right now during the lockout. But I've been doing, baseball videos on there from stadiums I visit. So I'm probably going to do something similar to that for when I go out to Rio Tinto for the first time. So a little like video vlog type thing that shows my experience that weekend going to see the game.
I'm excited for you.
And I don't have jerseys of either of those teams, so I don't know what I'll wear. I'll maybe have to get like one of our stateside shirts or something.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Santa will get you one.
Well, Santa would be after I go see the game. So
it could be maybe the birthday fairy will get you one. I have no idea.
The birthday fairy. Yeah, my wife. Yeah, we'll see.
What do you call her? That's kind of odd.
Yeah, that's her nickname. I also wanted to shout out before we go, the USL Championship season starts on Saturday. Loudoun United faces off Indy 11. Charleston Battery versus FC Tulsa.
Hey,
Memphis 901 versus the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Miami FC versus Red Bulls 2. Louisville City versus Atlanta. The Colorado Springs Switchbacks versus Orange County SC. Rio Grande Valley versus Oakland Roots. San Antonio FC face off against Detroit City FC, who left NISA to come into the USL. Phoenix Rising versus Monterey Bay, which is a newish team. Sacramento Republic versus El Paso Locomotive. San Diego Loyal versus LA Galaxy 2. Then on Sunday, the Birmingham Legion versus the Tampa Bay Rowdies. New Mexico United versus Las Vegas Lights. Should be fun. I think we'll try to cover them a little bit on here, maybe look at the standings every so often. We probably won't go as in-depth as we do with MLS, but do want to start really highlighting the USL Championship a little bit more than it gets the love of out there. And I've recommended to Logan to go see a Tampa Bay Rowdies game. He was complaining that Tampa Bay didn't have an MLS team. I said, well, go see the Rowdies.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's starting off as well. All those games should be on ESPN Plus. So if none of those MLS games stood out to you, from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you have your pick of the games for the USL on Saturday. And the Sunday games are at 5 and 7. So probably right around the same time as the MLS games. Good scheduling. All right, but yeah, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach us on Twitter at Stateside Show, Facebook.com/Stateside Show, Instagram at Stateside Show, or email us statesideshow@gmail.com. And we will get ready to catch you all next time. Logan, do you have anything to add before we leave?
Yeah, listen to our baseball podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're just getting started up again, and it sounds like there's going to be a season. It's just a matter of when.
I've seen so many people say okay, if they move on these things, we're good to go. And then I've seen people say, like Buster Olney, like, I don't even know if we're going to have a season. And I'm like, don't say that.
That's lovely. Yeah, it's lovely. But yeah, check that out.
Extra Innings Baseball Show.
Yeah. So we should be doing an episode here soon. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I think that's anything. We can take the night drive on into my really bad pun that I haven't quite come up with. So I'm kind of stalling for time, but I think I've got it. I think I understand the assignment, right? So Jordan, if you kind of want to just listen to this, it'll be a lot of fun for me. But yeah, Jordan, so I have a question for you, right?
It's going to be so bad. Yeah.
This is really bad. So the Galaxy played in the Queen City, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Galaxy won in Charlotte, correct?
Yep.
Could you say that they were buzzing about the fact that they won their first game in the visiting city of Buzz City?
I don't even know what that is. So are you going to say, does that make them the Queens of the Galaxy or something?
It makes them the Queens of the Galaxy.
There you go.
Or are they the Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know.
I'm just going to click end broadcast.
It was so bad.